Hi, my name is Brandon Hillman. The AUP, the acceptable use policy that you will be looking at here, is from Riverside Local Schools in Painesville, Ohio. It is from the high school where I do my teaching. I'm a math teacher there. And keep in mind that this is the student version of the AUP. There's a different staff one as well that students and staff as well as parents can access on the school's webpage if they ever have any specific questions about that. So quickly, I just want to go through a couple points that stood out to me in reference to how they relate and how they are sort of played out in our district. So in the yellow here, just make a couple, just mentions here. It says, while the district's teachers and other staff, will make every reasonable effort to supervise student use of the network and internet access, student cooperation is essential in exercising and promoting responsible use of this access. So it's not only the staff's responsibility, but it's also important that the students, cooperate in one using appropriate internet access and usage, as well as they're responsible for anything that happens that is not appropriate. But I don't believe that we have anything set up that helps students to recognize stuff like that or who they should go to per se. It is written in the AUP here. It gives them specifics as to who to go to, but there's no instruction, no class as far as acceptable use per se. Uh, Moving on, each student will be given the opportunity to enjoy and benefit from the network and internet access. That obviously will go in line as long as they sign and have this policy agreement signed, as well as their parents. Moving on here. If any user violates this policy, the student's access will be denied if not already provided or withdrawn, and he or she may be subject to additional disciplinary action. This is, relevant. Obviously, it's important, and but the big issue with that I find is that there are many computers throughout the district. We have a media center that has over 60 computers. There's a lady that has all the students, AUPs signed, so she knows who needs to or who has the ability to get on there. But a lot of staff also have computers, and some of the students know how to work the system, and they know that if they don't sign this, and they're not allowed in the media center. But if a teacher doesn't keep up with the AUP form and as far as who can and who cannot get on the computers, there's students that can get on there without, even if they have some type of discipline, without using the internet or any type of computer to do any type of information. So there are some loopholes in that system. The purpose, the school district is providing access to its computer networks and the internet only for educational purposes. Okay, the school is providing it, and it's only to be used for educational purposes, which makes me laugh, as you'll see here in future comment and statement that isn't always the case. A lot of times students I see, even in the media center, are there playing games on the computer, which is definitely not in relation to their educational classes or whatever they are taking. The pupil conduct code, this also goes in line with what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Obviously, anything that is unacceptable in relation to computer use in relation to the student code, pupil conduct code, will obviously result in punishment as well. This one down here, it is unlawful to circumvent or attempt to circumvent any district network or internet security controls and or internet filtering features. I mean, this is interesting because there are always students that have the ability, for example, our school does not allow the use of YouTube for students and staff. But for students, they always find a way to get around it, and our IT guys are always trying to figure out how they got around it. So there are loopholes, even though that there are security features set up. This one here says users and their parents and guardians, which shows you that this AUP, and this is only one reference, but this AUP ties in a lot of relation to not only the students but also the parents and their guardians as well, and how they are also responsible not only for, I don't know if I highlighted any points here, not only for signing this and reading this form, but making sure their students, their children, understand what is and what is not acceptable at school. So there's a lot of not only staff but also from the parents as well in regards to what's acceptable and what's not. And again, this last point here, be on task. We just mentioned it previously. No games on the computers, but they still do it and they still get away with it. I have 3 computers set up in my rooms, and kids always ask me to play a game, but I always tell them not unless it is using something for the internet to access information for a project or an assignment. This is pretty interesting. I like this. Network and internet access is provided as a tool for your education. This is just one of many ways that we can teach our students and get through to our students and educate our students is from the internet, and it is a good and very important resource for them. So again, sort of to sum things up here, the user's use of the computer network and internet is a privilege, not a right. I oftentimes hear students complain. Students complain that these computers suck, they're horrible, the speeds are slow, and in essence they relatively are, but in a district that is struggling, it is still a privilege, for these kids to be able to use these computers on a regular basis and to have them. And the last point here says, user who violates this policy and breaches his or her agreement shall, at a minimum, have his or her access to the computer network and internet terminated. So it doesn't matter what it is. If they break a specific rule in regards to internet policy, internet safety, they're done. They're shut off. No more use at the school. And if all else fails, if things work out, that are even worse than the policy in regards to the student code and conduct, then further discipline will also happen. Those are just a couple quick points. The biggest thing as far as this AUP is concerned, and has a lot of good points, and it fits right in line with all the key elements from the AUP article in relation to the NEA suggestions, and everything's there with the exception of a definition section. And I looked at a lot of different AUPs. I didn't see many, so I thought at the end, and I didn't really add any keywords or definitions, but I went through here and tried to figure out, okay, what words through this AUP might be a little confusing to some people. And at the end, what I threw in here, just the definition section here, just a couple words, and there could be many others that would be unfamiliar to some of these people, but those are the words that popped out to me that I would add in regards to, sorry about the dog in the background, but where was I at? Oh, everything's there except for the definition section, and just some keywords that I thought would be beneficial. The biggest thing that I would tweak and move some things around is the lack of organization. A lot of the points that were made, the 6 suggestions for an effective AUP, the elements were all there, but in different order. They were spread out. A lot of the pieces for the preamble, why the policy is needed, its goals, the process of developing the policy, and the overall code of conduct, that was all over the place in my opinion. The computer services and the circumstances from the policy statement was all over the place. So if anything that I would change, one would be to add the definition section, as well as to sort of rearrange and put things in a better order. Another thing that was not added that I would add also in the acceptable and unacceptable sections would be the social media references. Even though this is an updated AUP, there's no reference or no element of the social media that I think and I believe should be thrown in there, due to the fact that we are in the 21st century and that the cell phones and social media and stuff like that are very huge in the lives of these students.